The Ghaz changes. The blessings of Gork and Mork be upon Ghaz. The prophet of the Waaagh ability, his leader section has changed. The great prophet has now put his blessings of Gork and Mork and power into the boys. Yeah, we got the boys keyword is now acceptable, and so is the non keywords that also access the breaker boys. So then we go, well, now this means that what about a boys unit taking Warboss? Well, that's Warboss keyword. That means Ghaz can go with a 20-man unit of boys. So let's take a look at, well, what if I take this character versus this character versus. I'm a big, meat and potatoes kind of orcs player where I love 20-man unit of boys. I love this all these combos so many times that I just exactly kind of know exactly where I would feel with this. And most people will come down to cost on what else is going to end up on your list, because people usually have preference what they want to bring along. Aside a big brick of 20 boys, like a wagon obviously is going to be very common, but not always. So then when you start subtracting, adding different reasons and context to your list, that also would give some kind of credence to what you would take. But let's just overall my first looks when I look at it, right? If I'm going Ghaz, and what about a Painboy? One of the first things I hear in 20 boys. Well, what do I get from that? The first thing I think is, well, I get to feel no pain still. I get to keep the 5-up, feel no pain, which actually matters, because now Ghaz is at the very, very tip, right? When you're playing that 20-man unit of mob, where you're like, I'm out here in the front, I'm ready to get stuck in. The first thing the enemy's going to think is, if I can actually just precision out that character, bypass that 2-up invuln, and just punch out Ghaz, he's going to be sitting at T5, because it goes based off what the greater quantity of models toughness is, right? If you want to know why that changed, it's our fault actually as orc players, is because when the edition started, we had a runt herder, right? And this is a good example for you guys if you're a simple player and you don't want to understand this. When your runt herder's in your unit, when you actually look at your data card, he's technically T5 on his own. But when he's in this Grot unit and there's a bunch of Grot models in his unit, well, they're the majority. That means you're using that toughness. So same for a 20-man unit of boys. Ghaz is going to be T5, especially if he's getting precision. That's why I look at the Painboy and I go, well, if I'm just sitting on that toughness, now the enemy has to choose, well, do I even take that attempt of precision out the Painboy, or am I just, going in here and just getting crumped, and hoping that Ghaz can kind of just tank it on his own. So first thing I think is durability on Ghaz to keep him around, to force the enemy to actually chew through all of the boys. And then if they really a lot of people will use like one giant activation unit, right? They'll pull out their giant killy unit to try to dislodge this 20-man unit of boys if they can, because if they use a bunch of little units, you'll start pulling you models and somebody might not get activated. So a lot of time people are like, well, I got a big brick to really annihilate that big unit. In that case, it might just end up that now Makari has to end up taking saves, right? And so the Makari's taking save, and then he might just tank everything, and Ghaz is still alive, instead of someone just being like, well, I'm just gonna go for Ghaz first. So then we go into the Weirdboy, right? And also that makes context for what detachment you're working for too. All of these, right? All of these, you'd have to ask me, well, if it's Bully Boys, what if it's my War Horde? What if it's my, whatever it is, Tactical Brigade? So then we go into Ghaz plus the Weirdboy. You automatically think the jump. So you think I'm going to take a Ghaz and 20 boys, and I'm going to just jump over there right in your face, and I'm going to pop here we go with my Warhorde list and give it +2 to charge and just get stuck in. Just get it, right? A lot of people will think that even just having that capability for the enemy is, well, I'm not even paying for the wagon. When it's, when I'm setting up for my actual girl turn, I'll jump to the side of the table that I secure, and then I'll attempt to charge. If I don't make it, you might prick off a couple boys, but hey, then I'll just get stuck in with Ghaz, because really I just need Ghaz, about 8 boys, the knob, and the Weirdboy to all stay alive. Because remember, Ghaz is giving this 20-man unit of boys +1 to hit and +1 to wound and critical 5+. And if Makari's still alive, that means it's lethal. So if this is Warhorde, you're getting critical 5+, lethal, and sustain on your 20-man unit of boys. You're making them move better. You're making them faster. And so a lot of the time, the Weirdboy is going to be taken into consideration for that. Then you can also just, string your 20-man units of boys out, right? Keep in mind, if you have Ghaz, or keep Ghaz still safe, let your boys run out, take a little bit of, attention, and let Ghaz come out to actually get some charges off too. So people will do that, where they're going to sacrifice, this cost. And that actually might look something like Green Tide, right? We'll extend doing something more like that. Then we move to Ghaz plus the Big Mek. Yeah, let's go to Big Mek. You can automatically we're thinking you stick a follow me lads on him, right? And then if he's on the field already, you can then possibly pop here we go on him as well. The Big Mek re-rolls his advance naturally, so you can just feel a little bit more confident in that after you pop the CP for here we go. Then you also have the ability to move through models, so then you can actually possibly be able to just jump through people with Ghaz, which would be insane. Now the enemy, of course, can make a difference in moving him back and forth, right, to try to like offset where Ghaz can actually land, so people can play around it. But forcing them to play around it is the key, right? And so we love to see it. Now, how practical is that? Is now it comes down to what I said earlier when I started at this. Are you going for durability in your list? You have redundancy to soak up some of this attention from your boy units. Are you have other feel no pains on this list? Are you fast and able to cover the distance and then secure a safe location to drop Weirdboys in, right? For example, let's just be clear. If I'm playing Ghaz in a Painboy, would I play Bully Boys, where I bring other units that feel no pains and then have access to 5-up invul multiple times throughout the game? Would I bring him a War Horde, where I can pop Ardent Nails and have other units that are pressuring and break the enemy's back, where I'm really trying to amplify this damage? Am I picking a Weirdboy because I'm holding this back and I'm playing some trash weird version of maybe Cult of Speed, and I need to just cover the distance, or the hunt, and I'm just going to close the distance once my hogs go in? Then I just jump over there with my Ghaz unit and I try to get stuck in after that with some squigs and my big unit of Weirdboys. Do I play a Big Mek because I like to play the movement mobility game and I'm jumping out of a wagon maybe with a different unit with a well, I guess you can't jump out of a wagon with Ghaz and the Big Mek, but you know what I'm saying. Either way, you're playing the mobility game here in that case. Then we move to Ghaz. Now this is what most people were wondering, right? Why would I take Ghaz plus 10 knobs or Ghaz plus Breaker Boys? You know, what I really think is, well, anti-demon, right? You're looking at a lot of volume from these 10 knobs that are going in. You're giving them +1 to wound, so you're paying attention to, well, their strength is only 10 and I'm going into toughness 11. Well, they're getting +1 to wound, and if you're playing the right detachment, they're going to get critical, sustain, lethal if it's just lethal on its own. If you're playing, you know, a Bully Boys, that might be appealing for re-rolling hits, right? So then you already have critical 5+, you're re-rolling the hits, so now you're getting lethal, critical 5+ and wounding the demons on 4+. So you look at your Breaker Boys, and your Breaker Boys are low volume, right? If you know, and I know, your Breaker Boys just then enemy spikes 4+, and your boys just kind of whiff a little bit, there's a chance your Breaker Boys don't, or if don't, especially if you're not playing Warhorde, don't actually punch out a greater demon, right? In this case, now it is a big cost investment, but this is about just controlling that table and being able to have that piece, especially if you're someone that doesn't own a bunch of Breaker Boys, doesn't play with 20-man unit of boys, only play with your Mega Knobs, you really want to use your Ghaz. Might not be the most top tier competitive version of that, but that's the kind of tool that you now have access to, where you're like, well, I'm just going to just be able to completely maul something that has a 4-up invuln, even, right? It's just whatever. Put volume of punches on them because you still have Ghaz going in. That could even be considered of, would I put that Ghaz with a 5-man unit of knobs? Then we start looking that way, where people go, well, why would I do that? Well, I'm just trying to get stuck in and not be solo with Makari. Most people are going big. What if we break it down and bring it a little bit smaller, like a Breaker Boy unit? You're going to have this just one absolute missile where you just absolutely hate your friend's Canis. And you're like, that's fine. I'm going to get you though, right? And typically, right, Ghaz, honestly, he'll whiff, and sometimes into a Lancer, into a Canis, whatever, and the Mega Knobs don't really bring that punch to help follow up and actually, one shot take the enemy's teeth out, right? And so either of these combos, whether, cost effective, whatever you want to put into consideration, that is on you. Be a cunning it and check out our new order markers that are in our store. So shout out to you guys being cunning. Help you guys get all the orders set on the table nice and clean for all you get to get stuck in. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!